Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Pokemon Go video. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys the best way to catch Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres in Pokemon Go. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Now, I'm sure by now most of you guys already know how to use the circle lock method, but just in case you don't, I've made it its own separate video so you guys can reference it whenever you want to. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below as well as at the end of the video, and you guys can go ahead and check that out if you do need to reference how to use it again. But just to save a little bit of time here, I'd like to avoid going over the circle lock method since most of you guys already know how to use it by now. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the throwing patterns for the 3 legendary birds. Essentially, we're gonna go in the order of uno, dos, tres, which means 1, 2, and 3 in Spanish. I know a lot of people don't actually pick up on this, but it's actually Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres. So yeah, it's kind of a cool little Easter egg there. And essentially we're gonna go in that order as well. So let's go ahead and start off with Articuno. So for Articuno, it has 2 positions. It has its low position where it's at its base height, and then it has its high position where it flies up into the air. What I would personally recommend is that you always try and throw at its base height because it is much easier to hit excellent throws this way. And although we will be going over both in this video, this is personally just my recommendation. So let's go ahead and start off with its base height at its low position. Now the example that I'm giving right now is going to be from a right-handed perspective, although for left-handed throwers, you can pretty much mirror the image on the other side, so just kind of take into consideration where I'm throwing and then position it again on the exact opposite side. And so you pretty much just start winding up the Pokeball like usual when the attack animation starts, and then releasing the Pokeball right before that range reappears. Now pretty much where you want to aim is you want to go for the middle of the screen when it's at its base height, essentially the low position. And the reason why I say this is because you don't actually have to give the throw a lot of force. Now normally you will have to throw pretty hard and pretty high up, but for this specific position, you don't actually have to throw that far. So as you guys can see on screen right now, pretty much where I throw is just slightly to the right side, but I'm aiming for the middle of the screen just so I get that slight curve to make contact with the excellent. And I've also included plenty of examples so you guys can watch this over as many times as you need to. I know it's sometimes hard to visualize where exactly you have to throw, but this is also why I included a second angle of me actually throwing with my hand. Therefore, you guys can actually get a good idea of how I'm throwing the Pokeball. I do apologize to left-handed throwers out there. Unfortunately, the best thing that you can do is pretty much just to mirror the image on the other side. So pretty much wherever I'm throwing on the right side, just mirror it on the left side and you should be okay. But again, I do apologize that I can't give you a left-handed throwing example. And so that's where you're going to want to throw at its base height. The timing isn't too hard to get down either. This is actually a pretty easy one for the most part. I actually say Articuno is the second easiest bird to throw on, the first one being Zapdos, but we'll get to that eventually. And I definitely don't think you guys are going to struggle with this too much, but again, watch this over as many times as you need to, as well as the other examples that I will give throughout the video. Sometimes it just takes practice, guys, and just knowing where to throw and when to throw really does help out a lot, so I hope these visuals do help you with that. But with that being said, let's go ahead and move on over to its high position. Now for the high position, it's pretty much going to be the same exact timing as the low position, except this time around you're going to throw straight down the middle except slightly to the right. So as you guys can see on screen right now, I pretty much get a good wind up and I just throw it straight down the middle, and that is the only way that you're going to be able to hit the excellent at that high up of a range, just because if you throw it too short, you're not even going to make contact with Articuno. So this is honestly why I don't recommend going for this high position, and I'd honestly just recommend going for the low position because you'd actually get more consistent excellent throws this way. But for those of you guys that are maybe on a time crunch and you just got to get to the next rate as soon as possible, this is pretty much how you do it. Unfortunately though, this is a little inconsistent as you won't actually always make contact with that excellent range. So if you are going for the high position, I'd probably recommend going for more great throws and excellence, but if you are going for the low position on Articuno, definitely recommend going for the excellence because it's actually pretty easy for the most part to get them consistently. So with that being said, guys, my recommendation for Articuno, as I previously mentioned, is to always go for the low position if you can. You know, time your throws right. It's actually a very easy process to get down. I'm sure once you guys have done this a couple times, you'll definitely find it very easy to get those consistent excellence, and you should have no problem catching Articuno. And now with that being said, let's go ahead and move on over to the next bird in our trio here, which is going to be Zapdos. Now I'd actually go ahead and consider Zapdos the easiest bird to throw excellence on just because it only has one flying position, and that's going to be at its base height. It doesn't fly up in the air, thankfully, and therefore it just makes it very easy to get those consistent excellent throws, as well as just not waiting forever for it to come back down again. And so with Zapdos only having one flying position to throw at, it makes it a very easy target to hit excellence on. But wait guys, it gets even easier. So for those of you guys that have already mastered the Articuno excellent throws, you'll find Zapdos to be the exact same process. Pretty much the main thing that you have to do is just get the timing down for Zapdos, and you're basically aiming in the exact same position as you would for the Articuno at its base height. So Definitely, if you guys have already gotten your Articuno throws down, Zapdos will be a breeze. Personally, I found this to be the easiest bird to get the excellent throws on, and overall, you're definitely going to get some consistent excellent throws if you just get the timing down. So as always, feel free to watch these examples as many times as you need to. I got plenty of different examples for Zapdos, so hopefully you guys should be able to get these excellent throws down very, very fast. Personally, like I said earlier on, I do find Zapdos to be the easiest out of the 3 birds to hit excellent throws on. We're about to get to the hardest bird right now, which is going to be Moltres, and let me just say this right now, guys, this one will definitely give you trouble if you were not prepared, so let's go ahead and jump into that. Now, Moltres also has 2 flying positions just like Articuno, but unlike Articuno, you actually cannot throw at its high position because you're most likely never going to be able to get that excellent throw. It's honestly hard enough getting excellent throws at Moltres' base height, so personally, I would not recommend going for that high position at all. Like, don't even waste your time, guys, just always go for the base height, because even then, it is still really difficult. So like usual, as soon as Moltres starts its attack animation, you want to start winding up your Pokeball, and then once Moltres gets back into range, you want to wait a little bit longer, like right before that range reappears. That is when you want to throw your Pokeball, because for some weird reason, Moltres actually lands a little bit higher up, and therefore if you end up throwing your Pokeball too early, you're going to miss that range completely, and you're going to end up undershooting your throw. So what you want to do is you want to try and time it so it throws at the very last second right before that range reappears. Therefore, you'll make contact at the accurate range, and you won't end up undershooting your throw. So like usual, as soon as you start winding up your Pokeball after Moltres starts its attack animation, you're getting ready to throw, and then as you guys can see on screen right now, I throw the Pokeball to the top right corner. Like, I'm not even kidding. Throw it to the top right corner, guys. My Pokeball makes contact with the edge of the screen. It is that high up. If you don't throw it this high up, you'll most likely end up undershooting your throw, and it won't even make contact with Moltres whatsoever. For some reason, Moltres is like super far away, and therefore you have to throw at the top right corner in order to make contact with the excellent throw and the great throw range. Honestly, if you end up throwing it any lighter, you will end up missing the throw completely, and this is yet another reason why I recommend going for great throws opposed to excellence, because you'll end up getting those consistent great throws opposed to getting the excellent throw maybe, I don't know, 1 out of 4 times. And honestly, at that point, because you're not even hitting the great throw range, you significantly decrease your catch rate. Opposed to where you're actually hitting the great throw range, you're only decreasing your catch rate a slight amount where it's not going to be a big difference. So for example, if you're getting 1 out of 4 excellent throws on Moltres, that's not going to be very good in the long run. But if you're getting 4 out of 4 great throws on Moltres, that is going to significantly increase your chances to actually catch Moltres. And personally, that is what I recommend. Honestly, I definitely struggled throwing excellent throws consistently on Moltres, and therefore when I was going for great throws, I found it to be way more consistent just because you have a wider range, and honestly, throwing at Moltres can be very difficult because if you don't throw your Pokeball high enough, it won't even make contact. And so while you can throw excellent throws at Moltres, I do not recommend this just because it can be a very inconsistent process. Not to mention, Moltres double attacks and flies up and down so often, so you'll end up missing your throws a lot of the time to that if you do not time it right. Because go ahead and take a look at this clip right now. Pretty much Moltres will double attack you the second that range reappears, guys. Like the exact second that range reappears, it'll give you another attack animation, which can be very, very annoying because there's nothing you can do to prevent that. I mean, literally, the circle lock method and throwing when the attack animation starts and then right as that range reappears, that's the solution, right? That we all kind of know. But as far as Moltres goes, pretty much this attack animation follows directly after each other, so there's no way to avoid this. And unfortunately, that is one of the many reasons why Moltres is the most difficult legendary bird to throw excellent throws on, let alone just make contact. I mean, seriously, because there's nothing you can do about that double attack animation. Like, it is very, very annoying, guys. And for most of the legendary raid bosses, you can actually avoid this by making contact right as that range reappears. But as far as Moltres goes, because it is literally like the second after, there's almost no way to avoid it. Like, if you actually land it and you get that right before the next animation, you definitely got to give yourself credit for that because that is very hard to do considering the timing. Regardless though, guys, putting aside the attack animation, the double attack animation, undershooting your throws, what I would definitely recommend overall is just to go for the consistent great throws. I mean, honestly, if you can make sure that you're getting excellent throws at least 3 out of 4 times, I'd go with the excellent throws, but personally for me, I found this to be very, very difficult because if you don't get the timing right and you don't throw the Pokeball to that top far right corner and you end up undershooting, you're just going to miss the throw completely. And so therefore, either you're going to miss the range or you're going to miss the throw. And honestly, if you can actually hit the great throw range, that's going to significantly increase your catch rate. And so therefore, that is what I recommend if you want to catch Moltres as consistent as possible. But if you can actually get those excellent throws every single time, kudos to you, because that is a very difficult thing to accomplish. So in regards to Moltres, what you want to try and avoid is do not throw at its high position, always throw at its low position, at its base height. Always make sure that you try and time your throws to the very last second before that range reappears, because that is going to be the best way to make contact with the excellent throw or great throw range. And therefore you will avoid undershooting your throws, because for some weird reason Moltres just flies a little bit above when it does its attack animation, and so therefore you have to time your throws very accurately in regards to this specific legendary bird. And then of course the final thing is going to be to throw to the top right corner. Like, I cannot stress this enough, guys. If you do not throw to the top right corner, like pretty much as you guys can see on screen right now, look how my Pokeball just launches to that top right corner. Like, it basically hits the corner of the screen and then it goes back and hits Moltres. Like, if you do not do that, you're gonna end up undershooting your throws, because for some weird reason Moltres is like super far away. No idea why. In comparison to the other birds, it should be a lot closer, but for some weird reason, guys, it isn't. So this is definitely what I recommend that you do. Just make sure you throw to that top right corner, especially if you're going for great throws opposed to excellent throws, because in my opinion, you're going to end up catching Moltres a lot more often if you go for those consistent great throws opposed to the, 1 out of 4 excellent throws. But once again, if you can land those excellent throws every single time, you should be good to go. With that being said, guys, I think that is pretty much going to do it for this video. I tried to give you guys some more visual examples this time, my actual hand, as far as the throwing patterns go. This way you guys can get a good idea of where and when I'm throwing, because honestly, I feel like in the past that is definitely something that I've overlooked, and honestly, I think a lot of you guys will definitely benefit from watching these over and over again. Feel free to watch this as many times as you need to. I know for me personally, Moltres was the most difficult raid boss, and in comparison, Articuno and Zapdos was like super easy. But honestly, guys, I don't know what you're struggling with. Maybe Moltres is super easy for you, and Articuno and Zapdos are giving you a lot of trouble because you gotta be more precise with the throws. But like I said, feel free to watch these examples over as many times as you need to. This way you can get a good understanding of where to throw and when to throw, and ultimately this will help you get consistent excellent throws or consistent great throws, and therefore you're gonna end up catching a lot more of these legendary birds. So with that being said, I hope you guys did find this video helpful and informative. If you did, feel free to hit that like button down below. As always, I'd really appreciate it, and if you'd like to see more Pokemon Go throwing tutorials, make sure to hit that subscribe button for future videos, and I will see you all real soon in the next one.